Leviticus chapter 6. As we proceed, Leviticus chapter 6 from verse 1 to 7 is actually a continuation of chapter 5. Now, in the Hebrew Bible have verses 1 to 7 as chapter 5, verse 20 to 26. And the Hebrew Bible chapter 6 starts from verse 8. The reason being is that this whole section is a continuation of the previous chapter. But before we go on, I want to highlight a couple of things so that we are clear. This particular book, when we talk of all the what we call the offenses, okay, I think that would be a better word, offenses. The offenses against God in this particular book of Leviticus has to do with people who have right a relationship with God. Now, this must be very clear to us because it describes different kinds of offenses and remedies for the offenses. And for this particular purpose of the book of Leviticus, we must always bear in mind that God is speaking to the people who have a relationship with Him, not the Amalekites or the Amorites or the Edomites or the Egyptians or any of them. This only applies to people who have a relationship with God. This must be absolutely clear. And with the kind of offenses, we would see that the offenses will be from minor to major. And from minor to major, there are things that needs to do to resolve the penalties. So to resolve the penalties, when you start from minor to major, you would find that this would resolve by atonement. And then atonement will be, whether you're using a bull, a lamb, a goat, all this, right? And grain. And then when you get into the major later on, you find that there is no atonement. And we will see when we get there. When we say major would be all those that has a death penalty. And it includes idolatry, which will affect adultery. It will also affect what else? Idolatry, adultery, rebellion. All of these, eventually you see that there is no atonement because these are called major crimes, major offenses. But minor offenses, you will always see that there is a way to atone, and God wants them to do this ritual so that they know that they have done wrong. And then God will forgive them of their sins and pardon them from all this. So we don't call everything sin. I mean, in English, we use the word sin, but in Hebrew, they don't use that same word. There are different classes of offenses. This would be very similar to our modern day as well. In any country where they have a set of laws, there are laws where you just have to pay a fine. There are laws that you have to die. So there are major and minor offenses, right? All of these are to demonstrate that God is a fair God, and the laws of this world finds its mapping against God also in fairness, minor and major. So stealing $2 to buy bread is different from stealing $2 billion for the luxury of oneself. Okay? And so with this in mind, let's proceed to chapter 6. So in chapter 6, when we begin, equivalent to chapter 5, verse 20 of the Hebrew Bible. So if a person sins, a person here is any soul that is, now in this case, we need to pay attention. If any person misses, right, that's khatat. And then he commits a trespass against the Lord. Now, this is important. Commits means it's something that you do, right? And this is an action, and this would be a mala. A mala would be to, how should we say, to act unfaithfully. Act unfaithfully. That you have done something against God, but you and you've not kept his word, right? Now, in this case, it is about against the Lord by grow lean. Grow lean would be to deceive. Okay, this is the word. It is to deceive. To deceive his neighbor. So lying is a okay word, right? To deceive his neighbor about what was delivered to him for safekeeping, meaning something was given to this guy to keep it safely. And he disagreed and he told a lie, right? Or about, and this delivered to him for safekeeping would be a deposit. You know, sometimes you would say that we read this with Judah and Tamar. And so Judah said, I don't have money. And Tamar said, you just leave something with me. And then when the time comes, you give me the money, I'll give this back. So this is delivering or deposit for safekeeping. That I pledge that I will come back, I will claim this, and I'll give you back the money. And so if this person has taken it and said, no, instead of giving me 2 pieces of gold, you gave me 1. So he just wanted to lie and swallow the other one. So that in itself is unfaithful to God. So this is important. He deceives the neighbor, but is considered unfaithful to God. And it says about a pledge. A pledge is also a deposit, right? A security. More or less the same word. Or about, well, in this case it says robbery. Robbery means you take by force, right? Or if he has, well, this is one, it says extorted. The idea here is to, well, I guess we could use the word extort is to get something by oppression. I think that English word does express this, that if he has taken something or forced or threatened his neighbor to get it. Or verse 3, or if he has found what was lost and then he lied about it, and then he swears falsely in any of these things that a man may do, which he sins. So this is what God calls a sin, right? Now, because God calls this as a sin, you realize that it is not a major crime, right? It's not sin so much so that he has to die. Well, if that is the case, then it shall be, because he has sinned and he is found guilty, he shall restore. So verse 4, verse 4 says, return. That's what it means, right? Return all this. So that you don't say, oh, I keep 1 bar of gold when you have given me 2 bars of gold. So you must be honest and return. So one of the things that is important for us to realize that although there is a prescription of atonement for this sin, you must return what you have taken, which you have taken by force, or you have stolen, or it was passed to you for safekeeping and then you lied about it, or you found something that somebody has lost and you have to give it back. It's like, you found a wallet and then you don't take $50 from me and give back the wallet. Right? You have to give back the whole wallet. All that which was sworn falsely, he shall return its full value. And even better, when he has done all these mistakes or carelessness of lying, you must add 1/5 more to it and give it to whoever it belongs on the day of his trespass offering. So when you do an atonement for your trespass, you must give 1/5, 20%. So if the value is $100 and you said, no, I only found it with $80, well, you have to give the full value and add another $20 on top of it. And so that you are showing your remorse and that you're truly sorry. And he shall bring his trespass offering. Trespass because he has trespassed against God. It is an offering that demands him to admit that he was unfaithful, that he has asam, right? This is a trespass offering, and it is asham. And this is a type of offering that you offer, that you give to God because you now have been found guilty. And you do this to the Lord. It must be a ram, a male sheep from the flock, with your valuation as a trespass offering to the priest. What is the valuation? The 20% more, right? And so the priest shall make atonement for this person before God, and he shall be forgiven for any of these things that he may have done, that he was unfaithful. And again, I remind you, forgiven is pardon. Atonement is kafar. So that will pay for the settlement with God, that you have told God that you are sorry, and you bring this ram and it's for atonement. God forgives you and God will never bring it up again. And the ritual that you have brought, you have done an admission, a confession, but also a restoration. You must give back everything that you have cheated and taken, plus another 20% more. This is to show that you are truly sorry. And God does that so that the lesson is not a spiritual lesson. The lesson is a very physical, intentional action, that if you're truly sorry, you are doing something to show that you have humbled yourself and you have given an offering and you're paying back plus more. Okay? Now we begin verse 8. Verse 8 now describes burnt offering, grain offering, and sin offering. So when you first talk about a burnt offering, we must be very clear that a burnt offering is called an olah. So let me just write this down. A burnt offering is called an olah. And so this is the law concerning the burnt offering. Now, the word here for law that is translated is correct, that it is the Torah. This is the Torah of the burnt offering, and I need to let you know that the word Torah means instruction. This is the instruction or direction for the olah, a burnt offering, right? And this is how you do an olah, a burnt offering. That's basically what it says. The burnt offering shall be on the let's see, this word is a plate. Okay, the hearth is actually a plate that's on top of the altar. And this is for fuel, for burning, right? Upon the altar all night until morning. And so the burnt offering must be put on top, and it's completely burned. And the fire of the altar shall be kept burning on it. Verse 10, and the priest shall put on his linen garment. So there is a dress code for the priest. His linen trousers on his body. Take up the ashes of the burnt offering, which the fire has consumed on the altar. And the word consume is eaten. So when you put something on the fire, it's like the fire eating it, right? And then it says, you shall put them beside the altar. Verse 11, then he takes off his linen garment, puts on other garments, the normal ones, carry the ashes outside the camp to a clean place. Remember, we talked about that for a burnt offering. You need to dispose of it outside the camp. And the fire on the altar must be kept burning. It shall not be put out as long as they are stationary. The priest shall burn wood on it every morning, and the word wood here is tree. So don't think of it as firewood. Think of it as big blocks of tree wood, right? And lay the olah in order on it. He shall burn it, the fat of the peace offerings as well. And a fire shall be burning on the altar, it shall never go out. So if you remember, fat is also burnt in the peace offering. And so this is called a burnt offering because it is burnt. It is an olah. And olah means you will see the smoke or the aroma going up. So if this was the altar, so on it you place the wood and then the fire, and then what you find is that you find the smoke going up. That is called the burnt offering, the olah. Olah means go up, right? So when you burn it, the ashes will go up, the smoke will go up, or the aroma will go up. And this is a burnt offering. Now we come to the grain offering. In verse 14, this is the Torah of the grain offering. The grain offering is called mincha. And this is usually, how do you say? This would be an offering as a present, right? An oblation. A present that you bring to God. And the sons of Aaron, the priest, shall offer it. And the word offer is to place it, come near to God, and you will face God and put it on the altar, right? On the altar before the Lord. Now, altar is generic in its meaning. It could be altar to the idols or altar to God. So God says, you shall not offer it to the idols. And the altar here is for himself. Verse 15, he shall take from it his handful of the fine flour of the grain offering of the present, the mincha, right? The mincha of the present. With its oil, remember we talked about it in chapter 2, right? And the frankincense, which it's incense, which is on the grain offering, and shall burn it. So the grain offering of the present given to God in terms of grain as flour here is also burned for a sweet aroma. A sweet aroma means something that God can smell and it soothes him, right? It's a sweet smelling. As a memorial offering to God. Memorial offering means it is something that is for remembrance. You must remember this is the offering that was made to remember God by, remember what he has done. And so you probably in our day and age, we call it a thanksgiving, right? You're bringing a present to God. The remainder of the fine flour, Aaron and his son shall eat. It could be unleavened bread, so you eat it in a holy place. In the courtyard of the tabernacle of meeting, they shall eat it. It shall not bake with leaven, so no leaven when you bake it. And I have given it as their portion. Verse 17. Their share, basically. Their share or their part, right? Their portion is their share. So one part is burnt, the other part they will eat. Okay? It is the most holy. And so if it's most holy, you must eat it in the holy place, right? In a holy place means it's a clean place, specially designated, and is most holy, very special, like the sin offering and the trespass offering. All the males, notice here, it is about the male in gender of the children of Aaron may eat it, which means that the females don't. It will be a statute, right? A statute. This would be something prescribed. That God has says, I want you to do this, and you shall do it for olam, for a long time in your generations, concerning presents made by fire. And this is verse 17. And this would be the offerings made by fire. Everyone who touches them must be holy. Okay? And this is in verse 18. You cannot touch it without. And a fire offering basically merely means a burnt offering. Offerings made by fire is a burnt offering. And you must be holy, set apart, clean. Verse 19. And the Lord spoke to Moses again. So another paragraph, okay? This is the offering of Aaron and his sons, which they shall offer to the Lord. Now, this is different. This is not about any sin. This is about what the high priest and his children must offer to the Lord. So verse 20 says, as an offer, this would be korban or a karban, right? And this is a gift. And from the day that he is anointed, 1/10 of an ephah, ephah, I think that's how it's pronounced, one of ephah, of fine flour as daily grain offering, half of it in the morning, half at night. So the day and night, you've got to be doing this. Made in a pan with oil. When it's mixed, you should bring it in. Big pieces of grain you should offer of a sweet aroma to the Lord. And so you read this in chapter 2. The priest from among the sons who is anointed shall offer it. It is a statute forever to the Lord. It shall be wholly burnt. So the whole offering is burnt. It shall not be eaten. Right? This is for Aaron and his sons. Now, in the last part here, we're going to talk about the sin offering in verse 24. He says, and speak to Aaron and to his son, saying, this is the law of the sin offering. This is the Torah to the Chatat. It is an offering regarding misses. Offering for misses. Missing God's point. Okay? In the place where the burnt offering is killed, the sin offering shall be killed before the Lord. It is most holy. So sin offering is also holy, and this is to offer for all the sins called chatat, misses. The priest who offer it shall eat it, and it shall be in a holy place to be eaten, in the court of the tabernacle, and everyone who touches the flesh must be holy. The sin offering as a burnt offering in this case would be a ram, right? We have seen a ram or a sheep, right? And when its blood is sprinkled on any garment, or after you slaughter it, you collect the blood, and it happens that it touches any garment, you must wash that on which it was sprinkled in a holy place. So the garment must be clean, right? But the earthen vessel which it is boiled shall be broken. So when you boil and clean your clothes after washing that clothes by boiling, if it is earthenware, clay vessels, then it shall be broken. Verse 28. You shall break it, or break. The word broken here is break into pieces. Okay. Now the next part of it is that if you don't have a clay pot, you have a bronze pot. Okay. If it's a bronze pot, then it should be scoured. Means you must scrub it off. And in this case, I think you find this word quite interesting. It's like polishing. So you scrub it all off and you rinse it with water. All the male among the priests may eat it. Right? This is about the sin offering. It is most holy. No sin offering from any of the blood that is brought in the tabernacle of meeting to make atonement shall be eaten. It shall be burned in the fire. Now, this is important because I think you would find this in Leviticus chapter 4, right? Leviticus chapter 4 speaks about burnt offering and sin offering, and there are some sin offering that you would take the blood and go into the tabernacle of meeting, and then you shall sprinkle the blood on the altar of incense. That type of offering, of sin offering, cannot eat, right? No sin offering. No sin, none of this sin offering that you take the blood into the tabernacle of meeting shall be eaten. It shall be burned with fire. So if you go back and read Leviticus 4, some needs blood inside the tabernacle. Then some is just taking the blood and smearing it on the altar. That one can be eaten. Okay? And so God is saying that although these are rituals, this is what God wants as a ritual. And so the word that God used is called law, the Torah, which is the direction and instructions how to deal with these kinds of burnt offering, grain offering, and sin offering in chapter 6. And this is the end of chapter 6. Any questions?
God likes the aroma. That means actually God has got nose.
It gives us the impression that as the fat is burned or as the incense is burned, and it goes up, right? It goes up. And it gives us a picture that God is soothed, God is rested, God is at ease, and he would not chase after this sin anymore. It gives that kind of a picture. Now, whether God has nose or not, I don't know. But it looks like, in the description that God can smell something, and he is like us saying, oh, okay, I'm okay with it now. I smell it. Like when we smell durian like that. So it gives that kind of connotation. Remember, in chapter 4, I think it was chapter 4, fat cannot be eaten. All must be burnt. Okay, the fat belongs to
what about those meat that has got the fat in between the layers?
It's different. You cannot remove that.
So that's okay.
The instruction there says that there are certain fat that you have to take out so that you burn it, and those are what you call the major fat of the animal. Of course, there is fat all across the body, and that is not what God refers. God is referring to the major fat of the body. And so it needs to be taken out of the animal, if you remember, we were talking about it, and it is burned separately. Not inside the body, but outside. That is the kind of fat that God says that is the major fat. Nobody can have it, only God has it.
So actually, do the Israelites today dare to eat the fat or not? Or they will remove it because they would think that the fat is meant for God?
I think that's what they do. They remove the fat. First, they remove the blood. Then they remove the fat. And then they'll cook it. And then you realize that the meat is... Actually, the meat can be quite tender because of the way they cook it under slow fire. But you will find that it's very unlike the way we cook it.
So the Chinese is very different. We eat the 豬油渣.
Yeah. This would be... See, if you go back and read Genesis chapter 4 and 5, you find that there are specific parts of the fat that needs to be taken out, and that needs to be burned. So those are fat that is a plenty in the body. Okay.
Okay.
See you tomorrow.
Right. Thank you.